Today, we are here to talk about Trend Vision 1 Companion. Companion is our new generative AI security assistant, and it draws on decades of AI and machine learning innovation from the global team of industry-leading experts behind the Trend Vision 1 platform. By enabling SOC teams to accelerate daily workflows, Companion is a catalyst for improved performance to ensure your complete digital attack surface from email to endpoint to network and cloud remains secure. Before we dive in, please allow me to introduce our speakers who will guide us through this journey today. First, we have the brilliant David Girard, our product manager and architect whose relentless pursuit of AI excellence has played a pivotal role in bringing Companion to life. David's visionary leadership, deep technical expertise, and his time in the SOC have been instrumental in shaping the features and capabilities you will see today and also later this year. Joining David is Ander Hoaglund, ex-security engineer and one of our talented solutions architects at Trend, who will be joining us today to demonstrate the power and the potential of Companion. When it comes to security, we know that time is basically always of the essence. Every second counts when it comes to protecting your organization from threats and mitigating potential breaches. That means every moment spent chasing false alarms, decoding alerts, or completing repetitive tasks. These are all activities that are detracting from security, effectiveness, and efficiency. So whether it's the onboarding process for a new technology, mastering a new search language, or very quickly comprehending and responding to an event, or honestly, just managing the growing talent gap in security, we know that there's more opportunity to improve your platform experience, maximize performance, and again, empower you to focus on what matters. Today, we're excited to walk you through 3 key use cases. Using a plain language and user-friendly interface, Companion lowers the barrier to entry to help users at every skill level. So whether you're new junior analyst or seasoned senior security analyst, we're excited to walk you through how these different use cases and features can help you. First, Companion works in harmony with the broader Vision 1 platform to improve the way that XDR alerts are handled by facilitating a much quicker understanding and more effectively triaging those alerts. Let's just consider an example. You have a complex, multi-layer, multi-step attack. Previously, this volume of information could be overwhelming. There's an excessive amount of data and information to work through. But now, with Companion, an analyst can very easily prompt the chat for a plain language summary of the event and receive a comprehensive breakdown explaining the attack and correlating the tactics and techniques. Second, we know adversaries often leverage different living off the land tools to gain entry into an environment by using common and legitimate tools like PowerShell or Mimikatz. Attackers will encode scripts and hide to slow down response time to respond to that breach. Again, now with Companion, you can return the advantage to your team by investigating attacker scripts, decoding, and explaining each command line in plain language to enable a much quicker response. Lastly, analysts can now build sophisticated queries to hunt for threats with greater accuracy and with fewer errors. By transforming plain language, user-friendly search queries into a more formal syntax, analysts at every skill level can very rapidly execute queries to return those more accurate results a lot faster. And while we won't be showcasing these additional use cases in detail during this webinar, I did want to highlight a few other cool capabilities the platform and Companion will be bringing to the table. Unique to Trend, Vision 1 can detect and monitor AI app usage. So whether it's ChatGPT or Canva AI or Salesforce Einstein GPT, we know that shadow AI is growing at an accelerated rate. Your teams are using these tools. What we're doing is surfacing this app usage to support AI-based breach investigation, to more preemptively manage the risk associated with these tools, and better inform forensics to help you safely enable, deploy, and secure AI apps within your organization. At the same time, we recognize the administrative burden associated with security operations. Looking through KB articles and documentation, trying to self-help, and managing things like incident reporting and ticketing and emailing, all of this can consume valuable time. Companion is available to quickly access and surface the information you need at the right time while automating a lot of that paperwork for you. So I think that that's enough from me. David, Ander, I'll hand it over to you to show Companion in action.
Thank you, Shannon. So let's start with the first use case, which is the search. So we integrated Companion into search. So you will have this little icon that appears, and here you can type your prompt. You already have some ready-made prompts that our team will provide. But then here I just copied ones, which is search for endpoint, and that's the name of endpoint in our endpoint activity. So as you know, in search, and here you got the results, it searched and it used this syntax. That's a pretty, and it also explain you all the fields. That's a simple one. Let's move to another one. But you need, the keyword is search, and also in detections or in endpoint activity or in network activity. So these are the keywords that you need to have. Then let's do another one here. So in this case, I searched for the same computer, but I just read an article about openwith.exe. So I want to see the activity data that has openwith.exe in the command line. So it will translate this, as you can see, had in process command openwith.exe. You can click on add to search query and it will start the search right away. We combine search with the one of the other two use case, which is explain command. So when you go on object command or process command or parent command field, you can right click and it will start explaining the command. So it takes a few seconds. And then you got an explanation of the command. Normally, each switch or commands in the command line will be explained here. As you can see, you got a lot of details. If it's, we also give you an idea if it's malicious or not. In this case, I'm asking if it can be abused by hackers like Lulbin, live off the land. So it checks in our threat intelligence database information, and it tells you, yes, this one can be actually abused as well. Then here I will search for PowerShell in endpoint activity. And it brings back the query. Again, that's pretty, of course, you can give way more information. Here it says, search for malware in detections. So it will look for all the malware events in detections. So that could be from any of our products. That's an example for detections. Sometimes it could take up to 30 seconds to go back and forth. Here I got a simple one. So it map it to the mile name field. So if you don't know our data schema in here, we search for the recent 3CX threats, and it goes into our database in our threat intelligence and will create a query for 3CX. I could have been asking for the indicators of 3CX in activity data, and I would get. In this case, I'm searching for an IP, which is a regular thing a lot of our customers do in detections. But you don't know all the fields that could be about IP. And here it shows you there's many fields, peer IP, object IP, depending. So here you won't miss any because it created a search query, more complex search query about each field that could have an IP, the source, destination, and so on. You might be searching for vulnerabilities. So search for CVE in detections. And should bring you out. Yeah, that's a simple one. You can click. So you're going to save time, especially if you're new, you don't know the data schema or the search query syntax. It can help you. We did some interview with customers that also are very advanced, and they also feel that it will save time in all their query creations.
Excellent. Thanks so much for walking us through that search use case, David. And now, Ander, I think I'll pass this next one off to you.
Yeah. So what we're going to do in this one is go through a workbench real fast. And we're going to actually deobfuscate and go through a couple of commands without actually having to leave the Vision One window. Anybody that has worked any kind of an incident knows you're going to get command lines and strings and PowerShell, Python, whatever it may be, and you just simply can't know everything. So being able to go through and actually ask Companion here, okay, what's going on? And in this case, this is what we have. There is a obfuscated string that you can see. Oh, look, IP address. I now have a problem. And so this makes it very, very easy to be able to go in, and instead of having to bounce between a bunch of windows, you just have the command go through. It'll pull it apart for you, deobfuscate anything that it can, and then you can see it's going to pull it apart and explain it to you. What are each of the flags? What are each of the pieces? And then it's going to come to a conclusion that'll tell you what exactly it is that this script did. So that was the first one. We were able to see an IP address. The second part of it is we're going to go through another one. And this is where we can see another piece of this particular attack where what it's going to do, this command, when you read the breakdown in here, it pulls data from a registry key and then pipes it into a variable, and then at the very end executes that. So this is an example of fileless malware being detected on a system. And anytime that you're going to have something like a registry key or an IP address, that's going to give you someplace to go look. And so this is a very simple query in human language, search for endpoint creeper, which was the name of the device, connecting to an IP address that we pulled out of the script. And it takes about 5 or 10 seconds to return it. You just click search and it goes. And this is another one that we're going to walk through. This is actually going through the command line. This particular alert was suspicious creation of a scheduled task. So as we go through and look at it and break it down, we get the command explanation back. And what we're going to find is that this is actually a remote connection. This is not something that is being run locally on the system. So we can go through, again, we've got all the flags very easily and nicely pulled apart for us. So we can see, here's where we go, okay, this is remote. This is something that I'm definitely going to want to look into. But now I know, hey, this involves a second computer. I'm going through, I can see the user that it's going to log in as, I can see the exact job that it's going to do. And in this case, we see that it is going to run the notoriously evil notepad.exe on a weekly basis. But having that very simple breakdown now leads me to, okay, I know another system is now involved, and I can now go and make a very simple, just search, right? Plain language, search for activity or search activity data for connections from this PC or from this device, from another device. And I'm able to turn around and with the click of one button, immediately start another search that's going to get me, it's going to help me move on into the next phases of my investigation.
Excellent.
So, and it's just very quick.
That's great. And then, David, I'd love to explore some of the, things that we can do around digging into more Linux commands.
Yes. So here I got a workbench about a container. I got a very simple command. So of course, here I get the results. It knows that it is Open Container Initiative command, and it explains everything it does. That's pretty simple. Also, we have anti-abuse. So if someone types something that is not related to cybersecurity, you will know very quickly. We got a more complex Linux command line right here. And as you can see, it will explain every little detail, every switch in the commands about what you just said. You can actually copy paste commands, but you should always start with explain command line and put your command between double quotes. In here, in this use case, we're going back to workbench. I'll show you a few tasks, not to explain it, but sometime as a SOC analyst, you have to communicate with managers or with the asset owners, so your customers, your employees, and you have to write emails about the alert. So you can ask to explain for a manager, explain for, or ask more detail. But in this case, after this one finish, we will ask to write an email for us. So then you just need to copy paste and make a little change. And if you are so that's the alert. As you can see, you got paste to a note. So you can, if you like it, you can paste to the workbench notes. Right away. But of course, you don't want to send all this detail to end user. So yeah, could you help me write an email, okay, to the asset manager, Mr. Brown, and tell him we will contact him soon. Okay, and sign David. So here I got the email. And if you want to add detail, just type the details, add more details, add the URL for your help desk and so on. But this person apparently is a French speaker in your environment. Okay, so can you translate to French? And actually, we only accept prompt in English for now. Okay, but you can generate the output in any language that is supported by OpenAI GPT 3.5. Here we'll try The French version, I can tell you is good, but I cannot evaluate the Spanish one. It's
excellent. Thank you so much, both David and Ander, for walking us through those demos. David, I heard from you that we have over 20 additional use cases and functions that we have planned to elevate Companion to show the full value of the platform. So before we go to Q&A, I'd love to offer our audience here a sneak peek into just a few of those roadmap items that you have planned for the rest of the year.
Yes. Next. So yeah, we have 20 plus use case, but some of the first one we want, because Companion will be everywhere in the platform. Every app will use it at some point. But response and remediation guidance, you already seen that you can ask about what are the suggested response. We will do some more training on this one, and it will give you more specifics. Right now, you can try it. Well, July 3rd, you can try it, and it will give you generic information. If it's a credential dump, you need to reset password, disable accounts, stuff like that. If it's something else, it might be isolate computers, and some generic cybersecurity things to do. But we will do some better training this summer, and we will release a way better response and remediation guidance. Chat with sandbox results. So we have sandboxing in our product, but sometimes you want to have an abstract of a sandbox report. You can ask questions, but you could ask questions about many of all the sandbox you had recently. So which one are similar to this one? So that's the kind of thing we want to implement. Risk prioritization. This one, it's you can ask, for those that have the attack surface risk management portion, you will be able to ask what are my riskiest users or endpoint, or what are the, am I vulnerable to the latest Microsoft vulnerability? And it will know which CVE it is, and we'll look into our the attack surface risk management tables, and we'll tell you if you are, instead of going and digging into the interface. Custom report generation is one thing, because you will be able to ask about those questions and get the results directly in Companion. So it's not report like a PDF. It's more you ask information and you get it back in Companion. If I may, we're planning to put all our Vision 1 online help and information and threat intelligence into it. So we're going to merge with our help system. So you will get information if you ask a question, where I can do this task in Vision 1. It will point you to the right place right away, instead of being just an index search. So that's what is coming. We are very excited. There's more and more use case coming every day, and we look for you to use the preview and give us feedback so we can make it happen.
Yeah, that's just great. And, you know, I've heard frequently from customers that they love the attack surface risk management. They love the prioritization available to them there. But I've heard, you know, I wish I could just log in and see a really quick snapshot. What do I need to do immediately when I start my day? So now with Companion, I think that's pretty exciting to be able to go in and just be able to ask, you know, what's the top 3 things I need to do to lower my risk? Or what are the top 3 endpoints that I need to focus on right now? I think that's going to bring a lot of value to the analysts who are in the console day in, day out.
Yeah. That's what we are planning, discussing with all the other PM from email and endpoint and so on. And they have use cases, and they will implement a companion and the AI service in their product, in their feature in the coming months.
Excellent. So I think just to kick off the Q&A here, Ander, maybe I'll start with you, and David, I'll ask you the same question, but what do you see as really being the top benefits here for security analysts, SOC managers, even for CISOs? What can they get out of Companion?
I think what Companion is going to do is very quickly get somebody that is, an introductory, not a junior analyst, to be able to very quickly be able to jump in and start to be able to actually perform searches and queries and threat hunts. Some of the new features that we're going to be releasing, especially the forensics preview, is going to require the use of like SQL. So you're going to being able to run multiple searches in different search languages when it's just easier to go into something like Companion and type it all out in plain language. And the speed that is going to be afforded to analysts, where you don't have to go through and bounce between a bunch of windows. Anybody that's done this before is when you see a command, half the time you were like, okay, you go to Google and then you have to search for a page and then look through all of the different flags to figure it out. Well, Companion is going to break it down right there for you. And the ability to actually be able to ask it more questions. So one of the things that I didn't include in one of my videos was actually asking Companion about the specifics of the registry key, or a specific about something that was happening, or a file that was on a Linux system, and I was able to get an answer back inside of the console without having to move out, and that without you're not having to switch your brain to go back and forth, keeping it in one place, working forward.
Yeah, and Ander, I know that you spent some time in the SOC as well. So, do you see this almost as like a training tool for some of those junior analysts as well? When you were training up your team, would have this been able to help with that process as well?
Oh, absolutely. With Companion, you can, the ability to just ask it questions about things that you don't know. What does this registry key do? And then you get an explanation back. The key of kind of becoming very quick at a job in something like a SOC is just experience. Not necessarily a lot of training about all of the pieces and parts that go on a computer, but just training, asking questions, and then kind of coming to an understanding along the line. So something like Companion is going to allow them to become much more proficient very quickly.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for that. And David, what do you see, sitting in the creator's chair? And I know you as well spent some time as a security leader, as well as an educator for cybersecurity within universities. So where do you see Companion bringing value to security analysts first, or what's a couple of your top areas?
Yeah, well, it's a SOC analyst augmentation tool for sure. It's there to bring productivity. We know SOC analysts are overload, so it will save time Googling or testing all those queries or knowing about these threats. So we want to be productive in the platform also. If they don't know our platform, they just move to the platform. Knowing about our search query syntax or data schema might take times. This is like a tutorial. So some customers we work with during development, they said, wow, it's kind of having a trainer, an assistant with us with this. So this is 90%, I would say, it's about productivity. AI will be about productivity. But we got some cool use case that we keep a surprise for later this year, and where we use a large language model, generative AI, to detect some threats that are not detected by conventional tools. So stay tuned. And also, we have a vision to move to be multi-model. Right now, we use Azure OpenAI. Okay, we're not using OpenAI directly. We use Azure OpenAI. But we're developing our own as well in our team. And we're looking into other AI companies for other models. We want to bring the models close to the customers because those Azure OpenAI are available in the US and Europe only. We have customer everywhere. And I know they talk about data sovereignty, but we're also talking about AI sovereignty. So we will bring it close to you in your environment. So this way it's more transparent and more portable. So that's Excellent. The vision where we are going.
All right, that's great. I do have a few questions here from the audience as well. First one, we get this all the time, privacy question. This individual is asking, I assume any information submitted to Companion stays with Trend and is not shared with OpenAI. Can you address that one?
Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, we got pre-processing and post-processing. So when you enter a prompt, we extract the confidential information and we anonymize. So if there is a username or IP, we will change it for user A. And so we submit it to Azure OpenAI, but we also opt out for a couple options with Azure. So no human review from Azure and no persistence. So they won't persist, but we anonymize before we send it. And then when they come back, we replace back with your username and your IP address. So even if they have a very good privacy measure, we prefer as a cybersecurity company to be more prudent and remove that information.
That makes a lot of sense. Next up, I know you covered it a little bit in one of the demos, but what are you doing around anti-abuse? Say that someone is trying to use Companion more like, different, more general use AI, generative AI tool. What are we doing around the actual prompts that are being submitted when they don't fit the environment?
Well, as I said, we got the pre-processing, and in the pre-processing, like the question I asked in one of the demo, who started the war? Well, we make sure that because it's language model, it knows about it, it understands the text, so we make sure it's about cybersecurity. If it's not, and then we put this in the audit logs, but master admin later. After the preview start, the master admin in Vision 1 will see the audit logs and will know if someone tried to abuse in their team. Of course, in cybersecurity, we got red teamer, and I expect that some red teamer will try to do stuff with Companion that they are not supposed to.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's great. This is maybe a future use case, but question here. Recently, this customer found that they had duplicate agent IDs in their environment due to imaging. So will Companion have the ability to report on agent issues in the environment? For example, that duplicate agent ID or out-of-date agents, for example?
That's not a use case I've discussed. We'll probably have to discuss with the endpoint team on this, but yes, if there is probably return, if it's the endpoint name, well, then it will use the endpoint name. It depends. You have to be just like when you use ChatGPT, more precise you are in the question, in the prompt, better will be the response. So more text you type, more, and you might have your favorite ones that you will be able to pin more details you give. So if you got the endpoint ID instead, then you will be able to get to that specific machine.
Okay, excellent. Next question here, kind of more of a general AI question, but from what was developed so far in the field of AI and generative AI in trend, how much potential do you feel was covered so far, in your opinion, in terms of AI use? So I know that we actually have some non-generative AI capabilities within Vision 1, and now we're bringing in even more. We're also bringing in that AI app usage. So how far do you think that we've gone with the platform, and how much potential do you feel there is moving forward?
Well, in all the aspect of the platform, we have been using natural language processing for a very long time in our email system, for example, where we detect the writing style to block some DEC attacks. Machine learning, all again in email, in endpoint, in natural language processing. So because large language model is the next step in natural language processing. And we have been using it in threat intelligence as well, when we gather threat intelligence from underground websites or about vulnerabilities. So we are moving all these to large language model, to generative AI. And we already started a few months ago.
Excellent. Okay, so that's pretty cool as well. Next question, you sort of addressed this already about our future plans to use different models, but a quick question here on why our preference was to use GPT 3.5 to start.
It was quicker to the market, of course, because it all started with OpenAI, and Microsoft offered the GPT 3.5 model. When we start coding, some people ask us why you're not using GPT-4. There was some stability issue with GPT-4 and cost issue because we need to look into the cost. It's not free. AI is not free. Each time you're using, I think it's 2 cents per 200 tokens. So during the preview, we will monitor the costs. We probably move to GPT-4 at some point, especially when we want to become more multilingual. And GPT-4 is way better for that, but there's cost issues.
So,
but we're looking into a lot of other models from other vendors. And we have our own AI project internally as well.
So great kind of segue from that question. You addressed this maybe a little bit earlier, but just to resurface the answer, currently we're offering this in English. The question is, will this tool be released in Spanish at any time?
Well, first of all, it's a preview, so we had to create the anti-abuse system. So that's why we limit ourselves to English, but you can generate the response in any language, just like I showed generate in Spanish. Yeah, we will, it's one of our goals that you'll be able to ask the question in your own language in the future. But it's moving so fast, it's difficult to predict where we will be, but I hope we will be there by the end of the year.
Excellent. Thank you. And we totally appreciate your transparency on this project, understanding that we're actually talking about this pre-release. This is coming out in July. So this is an insider sneak peek into this tool. With that, we're coming up here on the 45-minute. Ander, David, any last thoughts that you wanted to leave our great audience here with today?
Yeah, I think that when this is going to be pushed out in July, I think that customers are going to immediately see the benefit and the value in it. And I'm also really excited for a lot of the things to come. Having some conversations with David, I think that the ability to bring in AI, not only to augment the detections, but to be able to make the humans faster, which is really at the end of the day, where we're going to really help our end users. in being able to secure themselves is getting their engineers comfortable and I would say almost getting them very quickly getting them a level of expertise in the product.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. This has been recorded, so we will share this out. We are looking so forward to sharing more throughout the year, more at Black Hat if you're attending Black Hat in August. For any questions, please contact your account representative. Like I said, this will be available in July. We'll be sharing the recording. You'll have some of these slides here as well. So thank you again so much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.